I'm going to match this blessed button for her ladyship's blouse. Mr. Hudson, your eyes are better than mine.
Oh, let's have a look. I think that's about as near as you'll get it, Miss Roberts.
Oh, yes, that's much better. Thank you, Mr. Hudson.
You'd make a good lady's maid for somebody, Mr. Hudson.
Oh, go away with you, Mrs. Bridges.
Well, I just hope Rose is looking after her ladyship properly at Southwold.
And why shouldn't she?
I mean, a lady's maid is a lady's maid, and a housemaid is a housemaid.
Oh, she looked after Miss Elizabeth after all.
And it's only for this once, Miss Roberts, so that Rose can see something of her family. Emily!
As long as that's
Mary.
clear.
Coming. Yes, Mr. Hudson.
Have you finished the bedrooms?
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
Well, that's a good girl. Now pop upstairs to the morning room and light the fire, will you?
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
And quietly, Mary. The master's not to be disturbed while he's working on his book.
Very well, Mr. Hudson.
That girl hasn't smiled once since she come here.
Oh, it takes a wee bit of time settling into a new place, Mrs. Bridges. 3 months isn't that long.
She looks peaky to me, unhealthy.
Perhaps Edward's been bothering her.
He wants to keep his hands to himself, Edward does.
He wants a damn good hiding, he does.
Hello.
Oh, leave off, can't you?
That's just a bit of fun.
Who for?
Well, no need to get umpty.
Well, how's it coming along?
I can't seem to get the lumps out.
Well, work it. Crumble it. No. Not like that, child. Like this. It's all in the hands, you see. It's no good picking and poking at it. If you haven't got the hands for it, your pastry's always going to turn out like lead. Still working this blooming old book, is he?
Yes, and he said to say he'll be dining out at his club tonight.
I don't want to know about dinner. I want to know about lunch.
Oh, give us a chance. He's working on.
Oh, you want something light, then?
That's it. That's his very words. I'm to take it up to him on a tray.
I must say, it's a pleasure to have him here on his own for once in a while, and he's no trouble, especially when he's busy. Crumble it, girl, crumble it.
Cold?
No, sir.
Treacherous weather this time of the year. You sure you haven't got a chill?
Quite sure, thank you, sir.
What's the matter?
Nothing, sir. Excuse me, sir. Mr. Hudson!
I thought it was too quiet to last.
No peace for the wicked.
Oh, have you done the fire, Mary?
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
That's a good girl. You didn't disturb him, I hope.
There we are. All your own work.
You did the decorating.
That's half the battle with food, the look of it. Remember that. Oh, you did the bulk of it. Now, we won't tell anybody. Just pop it in the oven and we'll see who knows the difference.
Oh, they'll know. I mean, it stands to reason. It isn't anybody can make pastry half as good as yours.
If you're going to be a cook, there's something else you'll need to know.
What's that?
Modesty don't get you nowhere.
You rang, sir?
Yes, Hudson. What's the matter with that housemaid?
Mary, sir?
She was crying.
In here, sir?
Just now.
Oh, I'm very sorry, sir. I'll see that it doesn't occur again.
I'm not complaining. I just wondered whether she was ill.
Not that I know of, sir.
Does she get on all right with the other servants?
Well enough, sir.
Nothing wrong at home, is there?
I understand she's an orphan, sir.
Well, it can't be that, then. What's you got to be unhappy about?
I couldn't really say, sir.
Well, make it your business to find out, will you, Hudson? We ought to keep the staff reasonably cheerful, eh?
I'll certainly speak to her, sir. I'm sorry this has happened.
How long will it be now, Mrs. Bridges?
About an hour. Now you get on peeling the potatoes and washing the cauliflower. Can't have steak and kidney pie without potatoes and cauliflower.
Do you reckon I'll make a pastry cook one day, Mrs. Bridges?
You may do, if you remember what I've shown you. And behave yourself.
Oh, I will.
Put that down, Mary. I want a word with you. Here, follow me. Close the door, Mary. And sit down here. Now, is that right what the master's just been telling me?
What about?
You crying up there in the morning room.
Oh, I couldn't help myself, Mr. Hudson. It just come over me.
The master was quite concerned, you know.
I didn't mean to.
Now, we can't have any of that, Mary.
It won't happen again.
You're not unhappy here, are you?
No,
That young Edward hasn't been pestering you, has he?
not so you'd notice.
Oh, maybe you caught the rough edge of Mrs. Bridges' tongue. Now, you mustn't mind about that. She always gets a wee bit aerated when she hasn't got enough to do.
Oh, she's been very civil to me.
Are you going to tell me what it's all about, then?
I can't.
I don't shock easily, you know.
Honest, I can't.
Oh, you'd be surprised, the things that I've heard in this job.
Oh, it's got nothing to do with here.
Well, that cuts both ways, Mary. We've all got our troubles. How we deal with them, that's our own affair. But the way of it is, when we step over that threshold, we leave all that behind us. Now, is that understood?
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
I will not have the master worried, you understand?
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
Right, then. No more of that snivelling and drawing attention to yourself, or there'll be trouble.
Thank you, Mr. Hudson.
Off you go, Mary.
Mr. Hudson, Mrs. Bridges says we'll be eating in less than an hour.
Yes, all right, Emily.
There's a surprise for our dinner today.
Oh, what's that?
I can't tell you.
I think you're all in this together.
Who's that? Come here. Mary? What on earth do you think you're doing?
I was just going out, sir.
At this time of night? Have you got Hudson's permission? Well?
No, sir.
Well, you know you're not allowed to come and go as you please. It's not good enough. Come on, up you go at once. I'll speak to Hudson. I imagine he'll have something to say to you in the morning. Oh, now stop that. Here, come here. Come along. Go and sit down. Here, drink this. Come on, drink it up. Now try and pull yourself together.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
Now, for heaven's sake, stop apologizing. Now then, what's this all about?
I can't tell you, sir. If I did, you'd only give me the sack.
Well, I shall if you don't. Tears and tantrums and creeping out of the house without permission. Exactly what's going on? Well?
I'm going to have a baby, sir.
Oh.
I'm sorry, sir.
Well, it's a bit late for that now, isn't it? You sure?
Yes, sir.
How far's it gone?
3 months, sir.
Before or after you came here?
Before. Just before.
Well, that's something anyway. Where's the father?
I can't say, sir.
Can't or won't?
How do you mean?
Well, you must know who's responsible, or...
I'm not like that. It was only the once. And you only have to slip up the once, sir.
Is he a married man?
No, sir.
Well, then, what's your problem? Don't you love him?
I don't even like him.
Well, it's a bit late for that. Now, there's a baby on the way. You can't stay here, of course.
No, sir.
We'll have to marry him.
If I could stomach him, which I can't, he'll never marry me.
Have you asked him?
He wouldn't. I just know.
Well, you have to provide for you and the child, at least.
Not him.
Have you told him you're expecting?
What's the point? He wouldn't own it. He'd laugh as like as not. That's all he'd do.
Where were you going, then?
To see this woman.
Which woman?
Well, she'll fix you up. Only you've got to pay. Well, I've been saving.
You mean you were going to an abortionist?
What else can I do?
Well, quite apart from the risk to yourself, I think you have to try and remember you'd be taking away a life.
Do you think I don't know that? What am I supposed to do? I'm a servant. Who's going to let a servant have a child and bring it up on her own? Would you? Of course not. Soon as I told you, you said I'd have to go. Do you think I haven't seen it happen? What am I supposed to do? Stop on till I'm sacked without a reference and then go off and have it in a ditch so the two of us can starve to death?
But, Mary, do you realize what you're planning is murder?
There's murder and murder, at least this way, sure.
Mary, it's a crime. And the penalties are very severe.
Can't help that. It's a risk I've got to take.
Do you want to lose your own child?
No, of course I don't.
Well, then you mustn't.
That's all very
Mary,
well.
supposing it went wrong. It could, you know. Then later on, when you want to get married, and you badly want a child, you'll find you can't have one. Or if you never get married, to know that you'd killed your only child? How do you think you'd feel about that? You'd never forgive yourself.
But I'm talking about now. How am I going to manage now?
Well, we'll have to think of something.
What?
I'll think of something.
You can't.
It's going to be difficult. It'll take a bit of time, but I promise you I'll find a way.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Mary, you run along to bed now, and we'll work out something together in the morning.
Oh, I don't know how to thank you, sir.
Yes, well, you go and get a good night's sleep now.
Oh, I'll not breathe a word to anyone.
Yes, that's the idea.
Oh, God bless you, sir.
Now, Mary, there is one thing you can do for me.
Oh, anything, sir.
No more tears, eh? Come along.
I heard a noise, sir.
Oh, Mary was going out to see a friend. I've told her it's far too late for that sort of thing. After all, we all have to work in the morning. Off you go. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Miss Roberts did no more than a duty in acquainting me with last night's incident. You just be thankful, my girl, that the master's chosen to overlook it. If you hadn't, you'd be out in your ear by now.
I was only going to pop out and see a friend.
I am not interested in what you were intending. You know the rules, do you not?
Yes, Mr.
Well, they're
Ransom.
made for keeping, and I'll not have them broken and bent to suit your convenience. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, Mr. Ransom.
I've got much more important things to do than be bothered about under-house parlourmaids who'll not behave themselves. Now, this is the second time I've had occasion to speak to you. Do you realise that, Mary?
Yes, Mr. Hudson, there won't be a third.
Right, then. If the master doesn't want to make an issue of it, we'll leave it at that this once and say no more.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Hudson.
Get on with you now. See you to the fire in the morning room.
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
And Mary, mind what I say. It's your last chance.
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
Off you go now.
Good morning, sir.
Oh, good morning.
May I see to the fire, sir?
By all means. Did Roberts make capital out of last night?
Beg your pardon, sir?
Did she say anything?
Oh, yes. She told Mr. Hudson.
And?
He ticked me off good and proper. It's all right, though. I said I was going to go out and see a friend, like you said.
Good.
I suppose you haven't had a chance to think of anything, sir?
I'm afraid not, Mary. Well, it's not something I can settle overnight. I do need a bit of time. Yes, Edward?
Your coffee, sir.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Shall I pour it, sir?
Yes, yes, will you?
And Mrs. Bridges wants to know what meals you'll be having in today, sir.
Well, I shall be out to luncheon. Oh, Mary, don't bother to light the fire now. And home to dine.
Right, sir, I'll tell her.
Thank you, Edward. Oh, Mary, what is your half day this week?
Today, sir.
Oh, we'd better have a little talk this afternoon.
Out to lunch, in to dinner tonight.
I wish he'd make up his mind. A person doesn't know where they are. Chop and change, chop and change.
Oh, Christ!
Now what have you done? I thought I told you to put that in the oven 20 minutes ago.
Oh, I'm ever so sorry.
Can't you do nothing right?
I forgot.
I don't know. Seems I've got to do everything myself. There are times when I think you're neither use nor ornament.
I said I was sorry.
Well, that's not going to get the dinner ready on time, is it? And get on with them vegetables. They won't be ready neither. Oh. And I'll thank you not to put paper on my range. I've told you before, it makes tinkers.
Sorry.
Emily, where'd you put the cream?
In the larder, Mrs. Bridges.
I mean, if I hadn't seen it myself, I wouldn't have believed it. That girl was in the morning room with him for some time. I heard them talking in there.
Yes, Miss Roberts.
I mean, I'm as broad-minded as the next, but really, you'd think he'd have more sense.
Now, let's not be too hasty, Miss Roberts.
Well, all we need's another scandal in the family, isn't it?
Help! Mr. Hudson, help! Help me, Mr. Hudson! She's dead!
What's happened?
She was just stood there, and then she went all white, and then like she keeled over and dropped dead.
Oh, Mr. Hudson, look.
Here.
She's fainting.
The dog see the rabbit.
I'll fetch the sulphur.
You go and get the chair, Edward, quickly.
All right.
She's going to be
Move
all
it out
right.
there.
Oh, well,
Come on,
of
Emily,
course,
out the way,
she's
out the
going
way.
to be all right.
Bring it over here.
I thought she was dead.
Oh,
There you go.
get out of it, Emily. Let's get some air here. Get some water, Emily. There.
Sure, Mr. Hudson.
Yeah, get your head down between your legs. That's right. There. Right
Oh, we
now.
won't be needing that now, Miss
All
Roberts.
right, I'll take it back again then.
Now then, up you come. There.
Where am I?
You're safe and snug and in my kitchen.
Oh, I must have fainted.
Yes, you did, Mary.
I'm ever so sorry, Mr. Hudson.
How are you feeling now, eh?
I'm all right. Oh, I just come over all swimey.
How many times has this happened to you before?
Never.
Well, we get Mr. Hudson to fetch the doctor, will we?
Oh, no. I seen the doctor, and he said I was a bit run down. Anemic, that's right. And he gave me some pills. I must have forgot to take me pills.
It's your half day, isn't it, Mary?
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
Well, look, I'd go and spend the rest of the day in bed if I were you.
Oh, no, I've got to go out.
Oh, now, come on, dear. Have a bit of sense.
No, please, I've got to.
Well, it's up to you, Mary.
Thanks ever so much.
Edward, see her upstairs, will you?
Yeah.
Now, go carefully now.
Come on, love.
Take
Come
it
on,
easy.
Hold on, man.
Emily, get on with them vegetables. Mr. Hudson.
Well, if you want my candid opinion.
We'll ask for it, Miss Roberts.
Oh, really?
I know what you're going to say.
That girl's expecting, that's what I'm going to say.
What makes you think that, Miss Roberts?
Well, if you don't believe me, ask Mrs. Bridges.
She's not been able to keep nothing down in the mornings. Not for weeks now. There's no doubt about it.
No wonder the poor girl was upset. Well, if that's the case, she'll have to go, won't she?
She's dead set on getting out this afternoon. It's my belief she's planning to do something about it.
But that'll make things even worse, Mrs. Bridges.
Poor little cow.
I don't believe it. You're making it up.
Well, that's what old Robert said, and Mrs. Bridges.
And how should they know?
Because she fainted.
People don't faint just because they're going to have a baby.
That's all you know. Till someone teaches you. Would you like me to teach you, Emily?
No! And you can leave off that sort of talk, Edward Randall, and help me.
Expecting. That's what their girl is. That was Roberts, fluttering about like an old hen in the barnyard and...
Oh, you tell me so. That was very interesting, said Mr. Hudson, the faithful family butler from Invercockaliki.
Course, you ain't been able to keep nothing down in the mornings for weeks now, chips in the cook, Mrs. Bridges. Energy and sodden boys.
Oh, what rubbish. You're making it all up.
Well, that's what they said.
I never heard him say it. She fainted because she'd been carrying a heavy coal scuttle. She's a bit frail, like me.
Well, you think what you like, my little Irish Rose. But us older household staff know only too well that Mary Stokes is going out on a day off.
That's not what you were going to say.
That's a nice hat, Mary. Going out for a walk?
Where's Mr. Addison?
Oh, he's reading the good book.
And Mrs. Bridges?
Having a lie down. Why?
Just to say I'll be off until 6.
Oh, we'll tell him. Now, you mind you behave yourself and don't let him do anything that I wouldn't do.
Who?
Whoever she's going to go out with. I mean, she's not going to sit all by herself in Kensington Gardens in that, are you?
What's the matter to you? Leave her alone.
I'm only curious. Interested in human nature.
I'll be going now then.
I know what she's up to. She's going to the doctor's to find out if she really is...
Edward, will you leave off? Can't you think about anything else but girls and...
Girls and what?
Girls having babies.
Yes, I can.
What?
Girls that aren't having babies, Emily.
Oh, that's enough.
It's not enough, Emily, still. It'll have to do for this afternoon.
Look, if you're going to help me like Mr. Hudson says, you can bring those dishes into the scullery. If the dinner's not washed up by the time Mrs. Bridges comes down for her afternoon tea, I'll be murdered.
Oh, holy mother of God!
I'm sorry I'm late. Tea for two, please. Now, Mary, I've given a great deal of thought to this.
Oh, thank you, sir.
You sure you want to have this child?
I don't see how I can manage.
First things first. Is that what you want?
Yes, yes.
Well, that's settled. And you keep your job with us for the time being.
Oh, thank you, sir.
And later on, when you give your notice of your own accord, we'll give you a first-class reference.
Yes, sir.
Now, Mary, if I'm to help you, there's something you've got to tell me.
What's that, sir?
I want to know who the father is.
No, sir.
Mary, unless you tell me, I won't have any more to do with it.
I don't want to make any trouble, sir.
I'm sorry, Mary, I insist.
It won't do no good.
He must accept some responsibility for the child.
He won't.
We'll see.
Honest, he won't.
Mary, he can't just abandon you. The name now.
Even if I was to tell you, he'll never admit it. And what's more, you wouldn't even believe me.
Oh, why shouldn't I?
Because
Well,
you being a friend of the family and...
you were with General Radford in Chester Square. Was it one of the servants, then?
No, sir. The son, sir.
Miles Radford? This is a very serious accusation.
I didn't want to make it, did I? I'd never have breathed a word if you hadn't dragged it out of me.
Do you swear you're telling the truth?
As I live and breathe. He came into my room that night, the night that I was leaving, and he was drunk, and I didn't know what to do. And he was stronger than I... Let's forget about him, can't we, sir?
No. The least he can do is to face up to the consequences. Edward?
Might I have a word with you, sir?
Of course, Hudson.
In private, if you please, sir.
Oh, come in.
Thank you, sir.
Now, what's your problem?
I'm afraid we'll have to find another under-house parlourmaid, sir.
Oh, why?
It's come to my attention that, well, not to put too fine a point in it, sir, it seems that Mary is pregnant.
Is she? Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear.
It's common knowledge below stairs, sir.
Yes, quite.
I'll see to it then, sir, shall I?
Yes, will you do that, Hudson?
Very good, sir.
Although,
Sir?
you're quite right, of course. On the other hand, does she have to leave immediately?
Well, if I may suggest, sir, perhaps if I spoke to her and we gave her a day or two to find some lodgings for herself. But of course, if the talk is out of hand...
Yes, let's do that. It would save unpleasantness for everyone if she were to give in her notice of her own accord. Do you see?
Indeed, sir.
It's unpleasant for you, Hudson.
Yes, sir. Oh, you're back, Mary.
Oh, I'm not late, am I, Mr.
No, Mary. It's just on 6. You'll have plenty of time to change.
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
By the way, I've got something to say to you, Mary. Let's pop in here for a minute, shall we? Oh, sit down, Mary. How are you feeling now?
All right, thanks, Mr. Hudson.
I trust you had a pleasant afternoon off. Did you go far?
Oh, just for a walk to Battersea Park.
Good. Mary, I have been obliged to inform the master of your unfortunate condition. It was my duty to do that.
Oh, I see.
You realize, of course, that if her ladyship hadn't been away in the country, I would have been compelled to pack you off at once without a reference.
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
Well, fortunately for you, Mr. Bellamy has seen fit to be lenient. He's decided to permit you to remain here and continue your service for a wee while longer, during which time you must take steps to find yourself some lodgings. Did you understand, Mary?
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
You should feel very grateful to the master for showing you such consideration. He's a very busy man with a very high standing. And to show such concern for a servant speaks a lot for his character. I hope you'll always remember that, Mary.
Yes, Mr. Hudson, I will.
Nor is it the first time that the master has shown you some leniency. Isn't that so, Mary?
I don't understand.
I'm referring to last Tuesday night, when you tried to leave the house after 11 o'clock and the master stopped you.
Oh, yes, he was very nice about that.
Yes. Yes, according to Miss Roberts, he spoke very kindly to you in the morning room before sending you up to bed.
Yes, he did. I was very grateful.
Quite.
Will that be all now, Mr. Hudson?
Oh, yes, that'll be all for the time being, Mary.
I'll go up and get changed then.
And, Mary, see that you don't take advantage of the master's generous nature.
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
Off you go and change now. Mr. Webster, sir.
Hello, Hudson. Where's your master?
If you'd care to wait, sir, I'll see if he's at home.
It's all right, Hudson. There's no need to be so damn discreet.
Oh, you're expected, are you, sir?
Well, there was a message at my club asking me to call at 6:30, so I suppose I am.
Oh, in that case, sir, Mr. Bellamy is in the morning room. Will you follow me, please? Mr. Miles Radford to see you, sir.
Thank you, Hudson.
Sir.
I'm glad you could come, Miles.
No inconvenience. It was on my way home. A splendid fellow, if a little dour.
Well, I didn't ask you here to discuss the merits of my servants.
Oh. So what are we going to discuss?
The condition of one of my servants, my under-housemaid Mary.
What about your under-housemaid? What was her name?
Her name, Miles, is Mary. And it may interest you to know that she is expecting a baby.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I would like to know what you're going to do about it.
Me?
Yes, Miles, you. Because you're the father. The girl has told me everything.
So, you've inherited a pregnant housemaid.
Who means to have her baby.
How original.
Well, I suppose you would rather she had an abortion.
I really don't see what any of this has to do with me.
Oh, don't you might as well, I'll tell you why. She won't be able to work for some time. She's going to need money, and you're going to provide it.
Why me?
Because you're the father.
Prove it.
She gave me her word.
The word of a certain gal.
Whom you raped when you were drunk.
If, and I say if, I did all this as you claim, why are you so concerned? You do seem to be taking a fearful interest in her under housemaid. Do you have some kind of special relationship with her yourself, by any chance?
That's hardly worthy of you, Miles. If it wasn't so patently absurd, it'd be downright offensive.
Anyway, the gal's lying.
I don't believe she is. And I'd like to know how you're going to face your responsibilities.
They are not my responsibilities, and if they were, they're none of your damn business.
Now, Miles, if you take that attitude, I should be obliged to raise the matter with your father.
What you tell my father is neither here nor there, Mr. Bellamy. The facts are that an under-housemaid, in whom you seem to be taking a quite extraordinary interest, got herself pregnant round about the time she came here.
Before she came here.
Give or take a day. On the strength of which you're making allegations which are highly damaging and for which you haven't a shred of proof.
You know as well as I do that you took advantage of that wretched child.
Child?
Yes, child. And you think you can lie your way out of this situation, you're very much mistaken. I suggest you go now and think over what I said pretty carefully. And when you've come to your senses and remembered your duty as a gentleman, you can come back here and tell me what arrangements you're prepared to make for her maintenance.
I refuse absolutely to be made responsible for some dirty little slut of a housemaid who finds herself in Faro by the footman. Or by anybody else, for that matter. Do I make myself plain?
Get out of my house.
Gladly.
I shall find other ways of making you pay for your shameful behavior.
What other ways? If you're planning to do what I think you are, I should make quite sure you can afford the publicity. I would, really.
Mr. Radford is leaving.
Sir.
The least he could do is to make provision for the child. We met and argued, and then I lost my temper and wrote to his father, as you know. It never occurred to me that
It seldom does. It seldom does. We should soon be out of business if only people would consult us before committing themselves to paper. Still, we've got ourselves into a mess, haven't we?
You don't think he's bluffing?
I wish I did. On the contrary. His solicitors have been in touch with me already. Blackmore and Green, fortunately.
What's fortunate about that?
Oh, I've had dealings with them before. They're gentlemen, then.
More than could be said for their client.
Maybe. Nonetheless, they're demanding a retraction.
Not at any price.
I've seen a copy of your letter. You'd be well advised to contain your indignation. At the moment, their concern is that you should not repeat your accusation. But you pursue the matter, and no question their instructions are to make a case of it.
But the truth.
Oh, my dear Richard, you can be painfully naïf. You ought to know by now that the law has rather less relation to truth, whatever that may be, than politics have to democracy, and whatever that is. The law of libel, most particularly.
He's the father of that child.
According to a servant girl.
I believe she's telling the truth.
Even if she is, that's no defense.
For whom?
For you. Juries, like judges, are naturally conservative. In the unlikely event that they believe this Miss whatever her name is.
Stokes.
Stokes, who, let me remind you, in the circumstances, has everything to gain by lying.
So has he.
Less, apparently. The Honourable Miles Radford. Gentlemen don't lie.
Oh, don't they?
My point is that the only thing 12 good men and true are likely to have in common these days is a degree of respect for their superiors. Call it what you like.
I take a less cynical view of my fellow men.
My dear boy, that's your privilege. But even assuming that they accept that what you and Mary Stokes maintain is true in substance and in fact, can you show that you published it without malice and in good faith, or that it's in the public interest that this rather unsavory tale be broadcast?
I don't know.
I doubt it. Let me ask you something. What is your interest in this girl, honestly?
I simply felt sorry for her. I think she's been shamefully misused.
But there must be dozens of people in your constituency, say, who are in as bad a state or worse, surely.
Perhaps. She happens to be in my house.
Precisely.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting nothing. But for a man in your position to go to such uncommon lengths to help a girl who regrettably became pregnant within days of entering his employ, consoling the wretched girl after dark, observed by your wife's maid, meeting her in tea shops, rushing into print with allegations that you can't prove and that young Radford flatly denies. A man with anything to be ashamed of would have acted more circumspectly. I believe you. But you must understand the construction that's likely to be placed on your actions, let alone your motives, if it comes to court. Oh, what we have to do is to try and rescue you from the consequences of your, to put it charitably, social ineptitude and legal idiocy.
What am I to do?
Nothing.
What?
Absolutely nothing. I'll talk to the other side and see if matters can't be arranged decently. Radford won't want publicity any more than you do.
He said he didn't give a damn.
Oh, I'm talking about the father. The boys are no consequence.
Yeah.
Well, I'll see what can be done. Meantime, I must ask you not to complicate matters further. Do nothing, say nothing, talk to no one, most especially that girl.
But I promised I'd help.
More fool you.
But I just can't abandon her.
Oh, drat the wretched girl. Avoid her like the plague. Any more crass moves from you and you're simply feeding ammunition to the other side, and they've got enough already unless I can make them see reason to put you in the public pillory. I'll let you know if I make any headway.
I can't help feeling responsible.
I can't help your feelings, and you're not in a position to indulge them. You have prior responsibilities. Your wife, your family, your constituents, your party, even if it comes to that, think about them for a change. Now you go home, and if you must put pen to paper, get on with your life of Balfour. How's Ed coming along, by the way?
Oh, it seems peculiarly unimportant at the moment.
Well, if this comes out into the open, a life of Gladstone might be more appropriate.
I don't find that particularly funny.
It wasn't meant to be.
Is that right what they're saying?
What about?
That you like... Oh, you know. Have one on the way.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. It's a good job you haven't got my man to reckon with. If it was me, she'd have half killed me. I'm getting rid of it. I mean, that's a mortal sin.
Who told you I was going to do that?
Mrs. Bridges was telling Mr. Hudson that that's what you was planning on doing.
Well, I was too. But I'm not going to now.
You wouldn't want that in your conscience now, would you?
No.
Well, how will you manage?
You won't tell anyone, will you?
Oh, no.
Mr. Bellamy says he's going to help.
How?
I don't know, but he will. He said.
I want to know is why.
What are you getting at?
It's beyond me why the master should concern himself about an under-housemaid who's going to have an illegitimate child. Unless, of course...
You've got a nasty mind, you know, Roberts.
Well, I can't help what I saw, can I?
What did you see?
Never you mind.
No, I wasn't asking you.
Goings on behind closed doors.
Oh, it's a scandal a minute in this house, isn't it?
Facts are facts. And the sooner she's out of here, bag and baggage, the better for all of us.
You speak for yourself, Miss
I'm
Roberts.
sure I'm only thinking of the master's good name.
You what? You rotten old cow.
Well, really?
Well,
Did you hear that?
You did have it coming
Now
to you.
then, now.
Why don't you give in your notice like any decent body would do?
How would you know?
And not take advantage of the master being soft and Lady Marjorie being away.
God almighty!
Now, Emily, keep out
Go on,
of
Emily,
what
She's
you
in
don't
trouble
understand.
enough without you all going picking on her, isn't she?
And
Go on,
exactly
Emily,
whose
go on.
fault is that?
Come on, Emily, you're telling
Keep your hands up anything that
Emily,
moves.
on this-
Now, I believe you are too. But the rest of you, do you think I'm daft? Do you think I don't know about you? The fiddles you're onto with old Mattie round the back door.
That's regular perks.
And you and her ladyship dressmaker diddling her rotten every time she has anything made.
There are morals and morals.
You don't have to tell me that. Oh, you're all such sticklers for doing what's right, aren't you? We mustn't have the master worried, must we? We're all one big happy family, aren't we? So long as we stick to a few rotten rules, we can put on false faces and feel all smug and cheat and fiddle as much as we please. But let a girl get took advantage of just once, and we won't stop at making her life a misery, will we?
Get in the
Oh,
trap.
no. We have to make out that there's something dirty between her and the one man who's lifted a finger to help. And why? Because you haven't got an ounce of charity between the lot of you. That's bloody why.
to come upstairs, Mary.
Well, she found her tongue, didn't she?
Oh, what's going to happen, do you think?
I'll use your loaf, Emily.
Well, she'll be getting her notice, of course.
Oh, that's not right.
Good riddance, if you ask me.
Oh, we've had a belly full of your opinions.
But Mr. Bellamy promised he'd help her.
Oh, can he?
Well, he oughtn't to have said he would if he can't.
You don't understand. He's got to think about himself. Poor little bitch.
She's got no more than she asked for.
Be thankful you haven't.
Well, really?
Can't help but feel sorry for her. She was banking on him that much.
Well, he's trying to help.
Well, I suppose you can say that.
Well, it's more than the rest of us can say.
She's in the hall, sir.
Send her in.
Better I should do the talking, I suggest.
You sent for me, sir?
It's Sir Mary, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
I'm Sir Geoffrey Dillon.
Pleased to meet you, sir.
Come in, Mary, and shut the door. Sit down. I'm your master's solicitor. You know what a solicitor is?
Like a lawyer.
Good girl, good girl. It's my job to try to help him to get out of trouble. You don't want to make trouble for him, do you?
Oh, no, sir, never.
I didn't think you did. The thing is, though, I'm afraid you have.
Oh, I didn't mean to, sir, I'm sure.
Be fair.
But we agreed I should handle
I
this.
was wrong.
I urge
For
you.
pity's sake. The least I can do is offer the girl a first-hand explanation. Mary, I know I promised I could help. I meant to, and I thought I could. The thing is, there are legal difficulties which you probably won't understand. Firstly, Mr. Radford flatly denies having had anything to do with you.
I could have told you he'd say that. I did, didn't I?
The problem is not only does he deny these allegations, he's threatening to take me into court if I repeat them.
What, for telling the truth? Don't you believe I told you the truth?
Yes, Mary, I do. The thing is, I can't prove it. It's his word against yours.
What's more to the point is that if we pursue it, he'll not only take Mr. Bellamy to court, he'll try to make out that your master has some sort of interest in lying.
I don't understand.
Mary, the suggestion is that you got pregnant after you came here, and that the reason I tried to help is because I am responsible.
But that's not true. You don't believe that's true?
True or false, let it come to court, that's what he'll say.
Why?
The fact of the matter is that he hasn't got a penny of his own.
But the family...
If it comes to the point, they'll stand by him. You can't win. And even if you did, some of the mud is going to stick. Now, do you want that to happen to Mr. Bellamy?
Oh, after him being so good and kind, that's the last thing I'd want.
Then you'll help us.
Yes, of course. What do you want me to do? Just tell me.
We want you to admit that your allegation was false, that you deliberately misled Mr. Bellamy.
But I told you the truth.
Which we cannot prove. That being so, the only thing to do is to admit that it was all an unfortunate mistake. You retract. Mr. Bellamy apologizes. They let the matter drop. Believe me, it's the only way. So if you'll just come over to the desk and sign this piece of paper.
Is that what you want?
I'm afraid there's no alternative.
All right.
There we are. Just there. Mary Stokes.
Thank you.
Well, that takes care of that.
And what happens to me?
Out of the goodness of his heart, Mr. Bellamy behaved, to say the least, foolishly. Now, what I suggest is that you leave Lady Marjorie's employment at once, with a reference and a month's wages, to which Mr. Bellamy is very kindly adding £25 as an ex gratia payment to help to tide you over your present difficulties.
Mary, believe me, this is not what...
If only you knew how I believed you.
Now, don't be ungrateful.
If I hadn't, I'd have got rid of it by now, wouldn't I? I got used to the idea of having to manage on my own. I suppose I ought to thank you for trying.
Take the money.
No. I'll take my wages, I've earned them. And I'll have my references. But you can keep that, along with that bit of paper you wanted, making out as I'm a liar when you know I'm not. I thought they was bad enough downstairs, but you keep it.
My dear boy, let her go.
She's right, you know. I shouldn't have raised her hopes if I couldn't carry it through.
It's my experience that most of the harm in this world is done by people trying quite gratuitously to do more good than they can possibly achieve. Give me an honest villain any day.
Must be a better way of managing this.
Well, let me know if you discover what it is. I've been to a good deal of trouble to get you out of a situation which could have ruined you financially and socially, and put paid to any political ambitions you may have. But let's not be under any illusions. Anything I was able to do was only incidentally for you. My chief concern throughout has been to protect Lady Marjorie. After all, the only thing you and I have in common is that the Southwolds put us where we are today.
Thank you for reminding me.
Not at all.
Good day.
My dear Richard, you're old enough now to be ruled by your head.
Well, Mary, I'm sorry it's come to this.
Me and all.
There's things been said on all sides, but the fact of the matter is that... Here.
What's this? We passed the hat round.
Well, it's not a lot, but
Every little helps.
You'll not think too badly of us, Mary.
Well, you find out who your friends are, didn't you?
Stop and have a bit of supper.
No, I got to find some lodgings.
I've heard the Salvation's helpful.
Yes,
And pop in when you're passing.
yes.
There's not a lot we can do, but, you know, you have a little chat and warm and cup of tea.
Thanks.
And mind how you go.
Good luck, then.
You'll let us know how you get on, Mary.
Oh, I'll manage. Even if it's only to spite her.
Supper ready, Mrs. Bridges?
When you are, Mr. Hudson.
Well, let's get on with it, shall we?
Look alive, girl.
Want to hold up. world honor, big mover. Sort of I'm trying to give up, but it never let her. So slow is tigger. So that day to buy on, get a jingle away to the sky. Every time I see you, and I can sing your phone away to set me flying lost in time. Getting you here out of me to fly. I try get to keep it in that far. Like a stick one. So say goodbye, say goodbye. I'm victory for a way, and I don't trust the guy. Not in time, can you see? I did just for you. What to say? My feet love. In time came, you here. I'm clean out to the wall to hold up. So the world honor, big mover. So the I'm trying to keep up, but it never let her. So slow is tigger. So that day to buy on, get a jingle away to the sky. Every time I see you, and I can sing your phone away to set me flying lost in